Yes, better.
Okay, let me do that now. Uh, I consider I consider this as a very great opportunity to share a little I know about HSC, and I want to appreciate the host for giving me this opportunity. Now, workplace hearing conservation program. This topic is has been treated before, but it's important we consider uh, treating it again, having a webinar on it again. Uh, this topic uh, is actually concerned with generally how we can reduce noise level in the work environment, such that this noise will not be of hazard to our worker, our workplace, injuring somebody, causing noise-induced hearing loss, deafness in severe cases. Now, go to my first slide. Yes, introduction, we will start by understanding how the hearing mechanism works, then noise-induced hearing damage, noise intensity, noise frequency, noise exposure, hearing conservation program, noise reduction, use of PPEs, noise reduction rating, and best approach towards controlling noise. Now, like we see on the slide, before we start, I would just want to say this. You will know, as a matter of fact, it's very important we say this here. The eardrum, to start with, in science, we know or we've learned that the eardrum magnifies sound 30 times what it gets. What do I mean? If you hear a very a sound of low frequency or loudness, you tend to get 30 times of that in your eardrum. So that is why if you use or if you be exposed to loud noises, it can really easily lead to damage of the eardrum. Imagine a case of somebody, say somebody went and was exposed to loud noise. Before you know it, he had ear problems. These are what causes it. So hearing conservation program uh, uh, involves how we can strive to prevent occupational hearing losses, preserve and protect uh, 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 remaining remaining hearing, and equip workers with the knowledge and hearing protection devices necessary to safeguard themselves. Yes, it's very important. I found out that in our workplace, workers are most of the time faced with uh, loud, loud noises, and it's instrumental that we prevent ourselves from these noises. Now, in preventing ourselves, there are so many things we put into focus. According to the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH, approximately 30 million workers are exposed to hazardous noise. We can see the severity of, of the problem. Scale of the problem is so large. You can see the number. So that's why it's important we discuss this topic at this time. Over 10 million workers have suffered a permanent hearing loss, with noise-induced hearing loss being the second most reported occupational injury. You can see it, near induced hearing loss. Now, this is even a what I would call a lesser part of it. Imagine a person being exposed to noise, experience deafness by result of that. So that's why we ought to discuss this thing at this time. Uh, in construction work, construction and many other areas of endeavor, one that we cannot do without uh, exposure to noise. My next slide. The hearing process begins when sound vibrations are gathered and channeled into your ear by the outer visible portion of our ear. Yes, the pinna, which is the outer visible portion of the ear. What happens is the way it's so configured, we find out that it's so configured in a way, a trumpet way, such that it can easily pick sound. You understand? It's like it's a satellite, easily pick sound. That's the way it's configured. So we find out that when an incident sound gets to be picked by the cleaner, what happens? This sound is being transmitted through the auditory canal, which is the ear canal, and it passes straight to the eardrum. The eardrum is what receives it first, and the eardrum, what you put in it magnifies it and send these signals through the middle ear, the hammer, anvil, and stirrup, or in biology, they call it malleus, incus, and stapes. And these also process the sound and now transfers it to the inner ear. The inner ear is where you have the semicircular canals as well as the cochlea. And these are what help in hearing and balancing. And the cochlea, on the cochlea, you have sensory hairs. They are called
You are muted. I don't know if you are talking. We cannot hear you. Omajede, unmute yourself.
okay. Yes, like I was saying, product acquisition is a sequence of events that have happened swiftly. It's the mechanism of hearing is very swift. Now, let me share my screen again. I'm sorry, this went up before. So you go to that, which is go to here. Sorry, sensory hairs. They can damage the fragile cilia, yes, which is the two sensory hairs in the ear. Since the cilia are not capable of repair or generation, this injury may be permanent and lead to ongoing incurable hearing loss. So one of the most in your ear, this condition is called tinnitus, and it will usually go away within a few minutes or hours. So this is just a lesser form. In higher form, we have deafness, stone deaf. Let's go stone deaf. Uh, Next slide. The intensity or the loudness of a sound is measured in units called decibels. So the unit of measuring of sound is called decibel, which is signified as dB. We already know this, and we know that the permissible level is 85 dB. Anything higher than that can cause injury to the ear. Under occupational safety and health administration, OSHA standard, you must wear some form of hearing protection on the job when noise hits certain levels. This level is known as the action level. Next slide. Let's go to the next slide. You can see frequency is the pitch of a sound. It's measured in units called hertz. Yes, the frequency of a sound, the number of vibrations, number of cycles of sound emitted per second is a very critical, is a critical factor in hearing. It's a critical factor in hearing. The human ear can hear sound between 20 and 20,000 hertz. Our hearing is most sensitive to sound. Our hearing is most sensitive to sound between 1,000 and 5,000 hertz. The majority of industrial sound have frequency greater than 1,000 hertz. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, it's important we state this here. Usually, continuous high level noise exposure over the years is more damaging than intermittent exposure to high level noise. This is because intermittent exposure allows your ear to have a rest period. Yes, that's why we have in science we call acute and chronic exposure. Acute exposure, you just have a one off in less than how many minutes you leave the place. What we're learning here now, even if you have an exposure that is high but not too high over a longer period of time, what we're learning here now is that it is more dangerous than having a very loud noise that that will just take maybe 2 minutes. So we can see the exposure to high will get the exposure is extremely high. Extremely high here. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. According to OSHA, if a work environment or a work process noise level exceeds 85, we've already talked about the decibel average and 8-hour period. Employers are obligated to establish a hearing conservation program. So we've already talked about that. In general, these programs identify the high noise areas in the facility, provide workers in those areas with hearing protection, monitor workers' hearing levels, a baseline audiogram, and annual hearing test, give employees access to results of these hearing tests, provide ongoing training and education on hearing protection. Now, second to last point, give employees access to results. Yes, it's very crucial because now, after passing passing through a medical examination, it's critical that, or it's very important that workers should be told what their conditions actually are. Yes. Because when I don't know what and what the medical examination should, it's not okay. Now a person ought to know what is doing, so that he will know what from exposure, continuous exposure to the program, employment engineering controls where fixable. We apply the risk control, the elimination, uh, uh, administrative control, usage of PPE. Now, the engineering aspect is very crucial in reducing noise. Now, we can see that in buildings where we emit loud noises are being provided in those areas. That is a response. And engineering. I'm sorry for that. Let me share my slides again. Okay, yes. Like I was saying, uses of anti-vibration mounts on very noisy equipment is important. It's very important in reducing noises. Now, in some areas of machinery, mostly uh, generators, consulting this mount, using these mounts and using absorbers to absorb vibrations can help in reducing noise in the workplace. And using a muffler is also very important in reducing noises in the workplace. Then the effectiveness of a hearing protection device is determined by noise reduction rating, or NRR. Now, before we discuss noise reduction, NRR, I just want to talk about PPEs in the workplace. Now, we have two major PPEs in reducing noise in the workplace. Now, we have the earmuffs, which we just passed the diagram some few minutes back. We have the earplugs, which can be squeezed and put into the ears. So in my workplace, what has really proved more effective in reducing noise to a very large extent, it has been the earmuff. But we can say from this that both earmuff and earplugs can be used at the same time to reduce noise. Yes. So we discover from what we see here is that the NRM measure the approximate number of decibels that the device will reduce. That's talking about a protective device now. Then the noise reduction rating, NRR, of earplug and earmuff is a standardized measure, standardized measurement used to quantify the effectiveness of hearing protection devices. It indicates the level of noise reduction provided by these devices in decibels. So we can find out that here now. I think from the next slide, that the NRR, that it say the maximum NRR for earplug is 33, and the maximum NRR for earmuff is 31. When used together, earplugs and earmuffs can provide NRR of what 36 noise reduction. You can see, so combining both safety PPEs will go a long way in reducing, notably if you're working with an equipment that emits a very loud noise. So next slide. So best approach. In general, earplug provide greater protection because they fit inside the ear canal. However, wearing a combination of earplugs and earmuff provide the greatest level of hearing protection. In the end, the best hearing protector is the one that is comfortable, convenient, and appropriate to wear each time you are in a high noise environment. Now, it is very critical that a PPE should be suitable, comfortable, convenient, and should be best fit, and should not constitute another hazard in the process of preventing the primary hazard to the worker. So thank you very much. That's my little presentation I got this evening. Share the time for listening. So I don't know whether I will have any contribution, anything to add on what I've said. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Mojede. Thank you for that wonderful and brilliant presentation. We really appreciate, and we thank you for taking up this presentation today. It's a great topic that most of us, or many of us, do not consider as something that is very urgent to talk about. But the major reason is that hearing or noise hazard constitute the highest portion of reported injuries or reported ill health, according to OSHA. Now, the major reason why health and safety professionals do not consider this as an immediate danger or hazard that needs to be taken care of immediately is because of what Mr. Mojede talked about when he said acute and chronic health effects. So the major effect of noise is usually chronic. which means it takes time for it to be identified. Most times it happens after years after you have left the job, or years after the worker has gone out of that project or out of that company. Then the effect will start manifesting. So that is why we see when people start getting old, they'll start developing hearing loss. This is as a result of accumulated noise exposure in the past. That is what they refer to as chronic effect. The acute effect are those ones that you can see the effect immediately, but it doesn't usually happen. It's in rare cases, or the number compared to the number of chronic effect is very low. So that is why it looks like noise is not taken serious, because the effect is not acute, it's chronic. So before you realize what happened to you, you already passed the age. In short, you will not even remember the company where that happened, because at that time you have worked in different projects. Someone like me, in just few years of my practice, I've worked in over 7 different projects. So in the next 10 years, if I start developing hearing loss, which of the projects am I going to hold responsible? That is where the main issue lies. So as health and safety professionals, we should be majorly concerned about proactive approach. And what is a proactive approach about hearing conservation? Is to protect the workers' future hearing. At that time, you might not be there. At that time, he might not remember you again. But what you do today is going to save his future. It's going to save his hearing in the future. So that is why we should not just take it as one of those two-box talk, or just talk about it and move on, or we don't pay attention to it. There are different organizations that they don't even do any form of monitoring, no form of noise measurement. And we health and safety professionals, we are okay with it. Why should we be okay with that? We should not be okay with that, because we are protecting the hearing of these people for future's sake, not just for today. Now, let's look at my major contribution will go to the most common control measure, that is the hearing protection, earmuffs and earplugs. These two most common hearing protection, most times we misuse them. We do not use them properly. That is why it doesn't provide the right protection that it should provide. Okay. Now, Mr. Mojed also talked about do not expose or add hazard while trying to prevent a particular hazard. That comes to mind in terms of use of earplugs. See what happens in earplugs. Earplugs goes inside the ear, right? It goes deep inside the inner ear, and it has is expandable. So when we push it inside, it will expand and cover the entire area, which gives better protection. That is why the noise reduction rate of earplug is higher than that of earmuff. That is the rationale. When it goes inside the ear, it expands and closes all the gaps that will allow noise to go inside. That is perfect. It's good if properly used. Now, what is the other hazard that can come in line of using that earplug? It can lead to ear infections. Workers are doing a lot of jobs. Some of them are using chemicals. Some of them are using paint. Some are using cement. Okay, so when they use that dirty hand or that contaminated hands to fold the ear plug and insert it inside the ear, what do you think is going to happen? What are we exposing them to? We're exposing them to what? Infections. That is that angle that Mr. Mojedo was talking about. Do not add additional hazard while trying to prevent a particular hazard. I'm not preaching against ear plug, but I'm telling you what is the major reality. We have been in the field, most of us are in the field. The organization or the company, they are more readily available to purchase ear plugs. Why? Because it's cheap, right? And because it's plenty, you can get 100 in a box and you keep it here and there. But what about the additional hazard or additional risk that ear plug will present to the workers? Have we thought about that? Did we include that in our risk assessment? Did we include that? Did we say that when ear plug is used and removed, that it should not be used again? Because there is no way you will remove the ear plug and it will still be clean, because your hand would have touched it. And if you are in the site, like us, there is no way your hand will still be clean. As a health and safety professional, there is a lot of things you will touch. Even the hand glove that you are putting on, when you remove your hand from the hand glove, there could be some contaminations, right? So, and if you remove the hand in the hand glove and use it to pull out the ear plug, there is possibility that it has been contaminated. Okay, even if your hand did not touch it, you hang the ear plug here and you go about, dust blows on the ear plug. Dust is indirectly is contaminated. So if you, after break, you go back to the site and you insert the same ear plug again, you are introducing some germs, bacteria into your ear, which will develop an ear infection. So I'm not particularly preaching against ear plug, but I'm telling us to look deep into the additional risk that use of this ear plug introduces to the workers. So we should not claim ignorant of this, because ear plug is very easy to purchase, it's very cheap, and the employer is very eager to purchase ear plug and move on, and you meet the requirement. The mandatory requirement is that if your noise level is above 85, then ear protection must be provided. Then you have met the mandatory requirement. But remember, as a health and safety professional, you are not just there to meet mandatory requirement. You also have some responsibilities as per protection of life. Okay, so let us look deeper into this. Earmuff on its own side, even though the noise reduction rate of earmuff seems to be lower than that of ear plug, but it looks a bit safer because there is no direct contact with that ear muff and the inner ear, which could introduce germs to that could cause ear infection. So I'm particularly saying that we should be conscious of the use of ear plug, and even if we are going to encourage the use of the ear plug, we should specifically let the workers understand the risk associated with the ear plug and how better they can use it and be able to prevent introduction of additional ill health to themselves while using ear plug. So I think I've spoken at the length. Let's give room for others if there are other contributions. Any further contribution? Guys, are you there? Andrew, seems you are busy. Mr. Emmanuel.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
You have done well. I don't have any contribution. The explanation is very clear. And Mr. Omoji has done well as well. Every explanation he made is well understood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Okay. In the absence of any other contribution, there is no need to keep us waiting. We can call it a day today. So thank you all for attending today's presentation. Once again, thank you, Mr. Monjede, for that wonderful presentation. We really appreciate.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. So see us again next week.
Bye, everybody.